Wellington Phoenix nil, Central Coast Mariners nil. Certainly a top of the table clash, this one. A nil-all draw. Probably a pretty boring one for the neutral, but as a passionate Mariners fan, I actually was really intrigued by this encounter. And the overall takeaway is that I'm happy with the point. I'm happy with a clean sheet against the top team in the competition in Wellington Phoenix, who are at home in this game. Of course, the Mariners entering this game with a fantastic run of form, and it's great to keep that undefeated streak running. Central Coast Mariners heading into this fixture with the opportunity to take top place on the ladder. And while that was a tantalizing proposition, a point is going to be a valuable one, I think, in the grand scheme of things when we look at the big picture of this season. First of all, when we look at the lineup the Mariners deployed in this game, it was an unchanged starting 11 from the win against Adelaide. Very happy about that. I thought especially that first half against the Reds was up there with some of the best football we've played all season. Ali Kowal, Ryan Edmondson starting up top together. Obviously, Max Ballard and Josh Nisbet have been one of the best central midfield pairings in the league. The defense has been really solid. Docker starting once again. That was sort of the one position that maybe that had some question marks around it, whether Mikhail Docker would drop out for Storm Roo, who had returned from his 2-game suspension. Storm was included on the bench in this game and did make an appearance off the bench. The substitutes, actually, we'll touch on them a little bit later, but it was quite interesting looking at what Mark Jackson went for with the substitutes in this game. Wellington Phoenix, worth mentioning, they had probably one of their weakest squads of the season. They were missing plenty of players, and you just look at their bench, and it's made of mostly academy players. The big inclusions for Wellington, though, and I think that really made a difference in this game, was the likes of Tim Payne and Alex Rufa, especially their captain Rufa. I thought he was very impressive in midfield. It was a couple of times really nullified the Mariners' attacks, and I think that really made a difference for Wellington Phoenix. But yeah, man, it was a fascinating game, wasn't it? It went through periods, especially in that first half, of just almost a complete standstill. And it was a standoff. It was going to see who was going to make the mistake first, who was going to jump first. And there was periods of that first half where it looked a little bit worrying for Mariners. Wellington were creating some good attacks. Tim Payne, getting up from right back with his pace. Nothing too threatening, though. I mean, that's the overall takeaway as well, is that there weren't really any clear-cut chances. 3 shots on target for each side come the end of the 90 minutes. But there weren't any, moments where I was super worried that Wellington were absolutely going to score. They did end up having 4 corners throughout the match. And towards that first half, Mariners did have some decent possession in good areas of the pitch, pushing into the final third. But again, even in that area, there's almost just like a real patience, which I don't mind. But there was clearly no rush to find the attacking route towards goal. Even someone like Angel Torres, who has been just so explosive and exciting to watch this year, he was slowing it down. Josh Nisbet, Max Ballard trying to work their magic, find the angles, find the passes. And, it wasn't a game for the strikers either as well. I mean, Ali Kowal, who came off at halftime, even Ryan Edmondson, who he barely had any touches throughout this whole game. And look, I like what Ryan brings. He had a couple nice moments against Adelaide. He's clearly a tall, strong player. And I think that's, a good addition to the squad to have, a big, strong striker like that. To bring something different. But this wasn't the game for him. He was really starved of opportunities and touches. But that second half is where it really started to get interesting, and the game started to stretch. And you could tell there was an element of, tired legs out there. Obviously the Mariners, they traveled from Adelaide, where they just played a few days ago. Wellington Phoenix with a short turnaround as well. They played in Brisbane on the Friday night. That second half, there was some spaces. Thea Harris making some mistakes at times, which was disappointing to see. Torres looking a little bit exhausted towards the end as well. And the gap started to open up. But credit to the Mariners defense. I thought, Brian Kaltak for me was fantastic. Probably Mariners' best player on the pitch once again. I mean, he's always on the end of things for Mariners, clearing things, making the crucial tackles. Brian Kaltak. But, it wasn't all Wellington at the end. I was, again, slightly worried that maybe, we know Wellington, they're a good team at home. They were playing in front of their biggest crowd of the season. Great to see over, 12,000 fans there at Wellington's home ground. Mariners did have those opportunities towards the end of the match, and those opportunities came real close. There was some long range shots. Angel Torres. There was another one, a free kick from Mikael Docker that was a fantastic effort. He got it on target, and Alex Paulson able to make the save, but it was so nail biting watching those final moments of the game. And as I mentioned, like earlier on, like for the neutral, this would have been a pretty boring watch. But just knowing that a single goal here for the Mariners, even at the death there, would have taken us top of the ladder. It was edge of the seat stuff for Mariners and Phoenix fans. But I was happy with how we started to press towards the end there. We started to really push forward, create those chances. Unfortunately, it didn't come our way, but my goodness me, there were some close opportunities there for the Mariners. In the end, the stats, reading from Google, 7 shots for Wellington, 8 shots for the Mariners. As I mentioned earlier, 3 shots on target each. Wellington edging the possession 57% to Mariners 43%. So, look, overall, a pretty even encounter when you look at the stats. Wellington Phoenix, I think they'll be the team maybe more disappointed with this result. I know that, they're probably happy. I saw some Phoenix fans online that were just, saying that they're happy to, hold off an informed Central Coast Mariners side. But, Wellington, this was an opportunity for them to go, 5 points clear at the top of the table, which would have been just monumental. But when you look at the ladder, the fact that it is still a 2-point difference between the two teams and the way the Mariners are playing, man, I'm not disappointed with this result. This is a 0-0 draw that I'm very much okay with. If this was maybe earlier on in the season, well, first of all, it would have been a very different game. I think considering the context of where we are in the season, that where the two teams sit in the ladder, that is why we got this game. That's why we got this performance from these two teams. And it was such a cagey affair. The two teams who I'm sure are going to be, towards the top of the table come the end of the season. It's interesting when you look at the ladder. You got Melbourne Victory just, behind Mariners. MacArthur SC are starting to charge up the ladder once again. Wanderers and City in the equation there as well in the top 6. But it's fair to say, even after 16 rounds, that Wellington and Mariners, for me, Melbourne Victory you can include in the conversation as well. Those 3 teams have just been fantastic this year. And just to keep this fantastic run going for the Mariners, man, is just awesome. 12 consecutive games without defeat for Central Coast Mariners. And you look at the table, that in the loss column, the 4 losses there, but to think they came in the first 4 rounds of the season, it's pretty remarkable. And, can Mark Jackson, keep this team going forward? Can he keep the performances going at the good level? I believe he can. Honestly, at this rate, it's looking difficult for any team to break down Mariners and for Mariners to lose a game, especially if we don't have any serious injuries or anything. You look at the team that Mariners are deploying, the options of the bench. That's the other thing that has been filling me with confidence for the Mariners at the moment, is that the options off the bench have been good. Jing Reese brings his excitement. Ronald Barcelos with another appearance in this game. We love young Miguel DePizio. He's a fantastic player with a lot of potential. Even the likes of Storm Rue and Nathan Paul didn't even make an appearance in this game as well. So there is depth there as well for Mariners, which is why I am confident that we can keep this run going. We can maintain our position, hopefully in the top 2. I know we just snuck into the top 2 last season, but hopefully this season is a different situation where we can really concrete ourselves in that top 2, potentially chase down first place. Man, it's been a long, long time since we've won the Premier's plate. It would be nice to add one of those to our trophy cabinet. What did you guys make of this performance from Central Coast Mariners, Wellington Phoenix? 0-all between the top 2 sides in the competition. Let me know. My name is Lockie. This is Coast Watch Football. Thanks so much for tuning in. Catch you guys in the next one. Cheers.